What's going on YouTube? Watsim here again with yet another Forza 6 tuning video. I know, this is becoming a real theme. Anyway, today we have the BMW M3 2008 model. The V8 edition, the one that, I don't know, the one that I actually prefer on the game. It's probably my favourite M3 on the game. And this is a good car to tune if you are, just new to tuning perhaps, and you don't want to use a stereotypical car like a Nissan Skyline or a Ferrari 360. Those are very atypical, easy tuning cars because they are so well set up from the get-go. This is kind of similar. It's got a good amount of grip, it's got a very decent amount of power, and you don't have to do too much to make it that quick. Having said that, to make it quick and to make it really quick, that's where it becomes different. Now this isn't super quick, but I like it. It's a fun drive. It's solid enough, as usual with most of my cars. It will do very well in hoppers. You're not going to struggle too much with it, and yeah, it's just great. So let's have a look what I did. Okay, so right from the get-go, engine is standard, no need to change that. And we've still got rear-wheel drive, and it's not turbocharged, so naturally aspirated. No need for turbos. It's got enough power. Aero. Now as you can see, I played with aero. I put it on. I tuned this car really on as soon as the game came out. Had aero on it, and it was all right actually. It wasn't bad at all. But I'm currently going through a bit of a fad where I don't like putting aero on cars. If I can avoid it, I will. And that's what I've done with this. There's no aero on this. It's still got great handling. Much like the Aston Martin video that I did a couple of days ago, cars like this, you just don't need aero for them, in my opinion. I mean, you can put it on. Of course, it will act better around certain tracks. Short, twisty tracks do require that kind of aerodynamic edge that cars like this won't have. That's fine, but those are specific track-tuned cars. Most of my tunes that I tune are all-rounders. They're not track specific. I've got a couple that are track specific. My NSX is kind of track specific. My Saga is tunes, they're kind of track specific. But in general, most of the tunes I try to do are all-round cars that anyone can use around most tracks. Not all tracks, because you can't get the perfect tune all the time. But this is the same sort of thing. So no aero on the front, no aero on the rear. Tyre compound, we've got sport tyre compound. As you can see, the handling's at 5.6. I could maybe go for a street tyre compound at some point if I want to get more power into it, but as I say, this thing's quick enough. I don't think it really needs it at all. We've got a stock front tyre width, so 245s, and on the rear we're at 295. I was at 305. That felt almost too stable when I was testing it. I just thought that it doesn't need that much, and we can just add a little bit. Take a bit of weight off if we get those extra couple of PI back. So we've gone for 295s on the rear. Wheels, we have got these aren't the lightest, these are the second lightest you can get. As you can see, the PI goes from 701 for the lightest. It goes to 700 there, so as light as we can get. And they are stock size, they're not being widened at all. We have a stock clutch, and we now have a stock transmission on it. I did have a racing transmission on this, but I didn't feel it was providing me with the boosting performance that you get from it on some of the cars. This is like a reasonably rated PI car from the start. I'm not sure where it starts actually. I think it's probably high B where this car starts out, and cars in that sort of range, they're already tuned to a certain level. It's not like getting a classic American muscle car or an older car of any sort really, where you've got to change the gearbox to get that extra performance out of it. These cars, they're modern. They've been tuned with performance in mind. It's not really necessary. So a stock gearbox. We have a race driveline and of course a race diff. Handling wise, I'm not even going to go through it. Everything here is on. Everything, even including the roll cage, it's all on. Everything is set to race spec here, so just stick it all on. Now, engine performance wise, we have a race intake. We have a race manifold. We have a street fuel system. That was just to get the extra bit of PI that I needed. We have stock ignition. We have a race exhaust, stock camshafts, race valves, stock engine block, race pistons, stock oil and cooling, and a race flywheel. So as usual, that's the parts out of the way. Let's have a look at the numbers. Okay, so our tyre pressure is set to 27.5. As usual, race tyres or sport tyres, 27 or 27.5. That is the optimum you want to go for. That's because when the tyres are fully heated, they get up to around 32 psi. That's the ideal tyre pressure you want. That's the temperature you want to get the best pressure, the best possible grip. That's why you do it. There's the gearing, it's standard. It's pretty. Just if I was going to change it, when I had a race gearbox on it, I had 5 gears in it, and to be honest, that didn't work. I could have changed it to 6, but I just thought I might just put the stock one back on, get the extra PI back, and put the performance elsewhere. And it proved to be probably a better idea. So the camber is set to 2.1 on the front and 2.2 at the rear. Now this is slightly different to my general camber settings that I have on a lot of my other tunes. Mainly the rear. The rear is set usually to around sort of 1.5, 1.2. You'll notice that if you've seen one of the videos. But in this one, because of the lack of downforce, the lack of general grip in certain areas, having that extra bit of negative camber on the rear, it just gives you the ability to get the power on a little bit easier in the corners. It just makes cornering a lot better. So that's the reason for that. Front toe we have set to 0.2, and at the rear we have minus 0.3. Now minus 0.3, that's quite high or low depending on how you want to see it. But that keeps the rear really settled. It stops the vibrations going through the car too much. It just keeps the wheels really settled, really nice. And at the front, it gives it that extra bit of sharpness. This car's really understeery to start with, I found. So it needed that to kind of help it be more balanced, to help it get that more general direction. It's still, if I'm honest, suffers a little bit of understeer. Not a great deal, but there is a little bit at times that you do notice. And the caster is set to 5.9. Anti-roll bars, again, these are slightly different. This is more of a stereotypical setup that you'll see if you watch other people's tuning videos. They can't use this kind of setup. It's very, very simple, it's easy, and it works, to be honest. It works. Now, the idea is you start with, if you think of a car as being a 50-50 weight distribution, then you would start with them both on 20. With this being 51% to the front, so therefore 49 to the rear, that is offset slightly. So we have a slight offset in favour of the front. So the anti-roll bar at the front is set to 20.8, nearly 21, and the rear is set to 19.2, nearly just 19. So there is a slight offset there. That's a really basic, stereotypical, kind of what a lot of people do on this game to set their anti-roll bars, and it works. It does work, but it doesn't work on every car. It works on this really well. I'll give it that. It works really well on this. So yeah, give that a try on other tunes you've got. Sure, it might work a treat for those as well. Springs are set to 738.4 at the front and 709.5 at the rear, and again that's using the same old calculation we always do, which is the weight of the car times 0. Whatever the front weight bias is, divide that by 2, and that will give you your front spring rate. And here we go again for the rear. It's the weight of the car times the remaining weight percentage. 0. Whatever the weight percentage is. Then divide that by 2, and that will give you your rear spring rate. And those are the more or less the exact numbers for that there. And the ride height is set to 4 and 3.7. I think that should be 3. Yes, 3 above the minimum. That's where I'm currently at with my tunes. I don't know why I keep doing that. I keep changing here and there. Rebound stiffness, we've got 10.7 and 10.6. Because of this being a really evenly weighted car, I find that the rebound stiffness being that close together, so there's only like 0.1 between them, that's ideal. That keeps the car really well balanced. That keeps the car, I don't know, it's kind of a clue to me, in my opinion. That's the one thing that I look at in the stats and I think, okay, so the weight bias is going to be, sorry, the rebound is going to be dictated by the weight bias. In most cases, not in all cases, but in most cases I find that to be true. So say you do have 51% at the front like this, I find just having 0.1, maybe 0.2 more towards the front often works out the best. As I say, it's not always the case, not always, but in most cases it is right. And bump stiffness we have set to 5.9 and 4.2. Now those are kind of just numbers I've just almost plucked out of the air, if you like. They're I've just played with it, come up with those. It's the new one I'm doing my bump and rear and my front bump and rear bump. It's just, yeah, just play with it, see what works for you. I find that worked well for me. Give me great turning, give me great responsiveness, give me great grip out of the corner as well. So yeah, sure, go for it. There's no downforce, so of course that's just stock. It is what it is. My brakes, you know, pretty usual story for me. 48% pressure, 48% balance, and 84% pressure, not 85, because I don't know why. I just thought that worked better. And diff is set to 74 acceleration and 81 deceleration. Again, that's more of a general thing that I'm currently doing. I think it works really well, but you know, that works for me. So yeah, this tune is available to download, of course, like all my tunes. So yeah, please do feel free to try it out. Try it around any track really. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it around, you know, really short, high grip tracks. I don't think it'll work too well around those. But you never know, it might actually. It's got a decent amount of grip, this car, and it's got a great amount of power. So it could work around anywhere. If you're good enough and you can make it work around anywhere, all power to you. But thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please do drop a like. Please subscribe to my channel. I've got more of these coming. So many more. And I've got a big update video coming about a lot of the tunes I've previously done. I'm going to do a video showing an update on those cars, how I've changed them, how I've improved them. And yeah, that's coming pretty soon. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.